Title: Thousands of Years Rewired Our Brains to Love Dogs. Have you ever looked your dog in the eyes and felt an ancient, unspoken connection? A sense of love so deep it feels like it's woven into your very biology? Well, you're not imagining it. And the story of why you feel that way isn't just about you and your pet. It's the story of all of us. It's a tale that begins tens of thousands of years ago. And it reveals how staring into the eyes of a wolf began a process that literally rewired the human brain for love. This is the story of how one of humanity's oldest competitors became our best friend, and how in the process, both species were changed forever. To understand the profound connection we have with the dogs sleeping on our couches, we have to travel back in time. While there's still lively scientific debate, genetic and archaeological evidence suggests the partnership between our species began somewhere between 15,000 and 30,000 years ago. At this point in history, Homo sapiens were nomadic hunter-gatherers, living in a challenging world. And we had a competitor, a highly intelligent social hunter that stalked the same lands and sought similar prey: the gray wolf. For millennia, the relationship between humans and wolves was likely one of mutual avoidance and suspicion. We were both successful pack hunters, seeing each other as a threat to a hard-won meal or a danger to the young of our groups. The idea that these two species would one day form the most successful interspecies alliance in history would have been unthinkable. So, what changed? A leading theory suggests it didn't start with a grand gesture, but with something far more ordinary: garbage. As human groups set up camps, they created piles of discarded bones and leftover scraps. For a wolf, this was a potential buffet. But approaching a human camp was a risky move. Most wolves, naturally wary of rivals, would have stayed away. But in any population, there's variation. Some wolves, by sheer genetic chance, would have been a little less fearful, a little bolder. These weren't necessarily the strongest wolves. They might have been outcasts or scavengers, but they were the ones willing to creep closer to the strange, flickering firelight for an easy meal. This was the first, critical step. It wasn't an act of friendship, it was an act of opportunism. As these less fearful wolves began to hang around human settlements, a subtle evolutionary pressure took hold, a process some researchers have called survival of the friendliest. The most aggressive wolves that got too close were likely killed by humans who saw them as a danger. The most timid never got close enough to benefit. But the ones in the middle, those tolerant of human presence but not overtly threatening, found a winning strategy. They got a reliable food source from human leftovers. In return, humans got an unintentional furry alarm system. These proto-dogs would bark at the approach of strangers or predators, like cave bears. It was a mutually beneficial, if still distant, relationship. Over thousands of years, this selection process continued. The friendliest wolves were the most successful in this new niche, and they passed on the genes for a more sociable, less fearful temperament. This wasn't necessarily a single event. Scientists are still debating whether dogs were domesticated once or in multiple places independently. But the core principle remains. Humans didn't actively tame wolves. Instead, a population of wolves began to domesticate themselves. Their evolution shaped by the new environment they found at the edge of human society. This slow dance laid the behavioral groundwork for a partnership. But for that partnership to become a true bond, something had to change on a much deeper biological level. As generations passed, the descendants of these friendly wolves started to look and act differently. This process, known as domestication syndrome, led to a pattern of common changes. Their faces often shortened, their teeth became smaller, and some developed floppier ears. They kept puppy-like features into adulthood, a phenomenon called pedomorphosis, which may have triggered nurturing instincts in humans. But the most profound changes were happening genetically. scientists have identified specific genes linked to the remarkable sociability of dogs. In a fascinating parallel, researchers found that structural variations in genes on a dog's chromosome 6 are in the same region that, in humans, is associated with Williams-Buren syndrome. One of the defining traits of people with this condition is hypersociability, an intense friendliness and eagerness to connect with strangers. Dogs don't have this syndrome, but research strongly suggests that variations in these specific genes, like *GTF2I* and *GTF2IRD1*, contribute to their extreme sociability toward humans. While wolves, even those raised by people, generally remain independent, dogs seem to be genetically predisposed to see us as social partners. Evolution had sculpted the canine genome, laying the foundation for a desire to connect with us. This was the key that unlocked the next incredible stage of our shared history. For any social bond to form, there needs to be a mechanism that builds trust and affection. In mammals, a key chemical for this is the hormone oxytocin, often called the love hormone. Oxytocin is crucial for social bonding, from the connection between a mother and her infant to the trust between partners. It helps reduce stress and promotes feelings of calm and well-being. And it's at the very heart of the human-dog bond. A breakthrough came from a landmark study led by researcher Miho Nagasawa in Japan. Scientists brought dogs and their owners into a room to interact for 30 minutes, measuring oxytocin levels in both before and after. The results were astonishing. The owners whose dogs gazed into their eyes the longest showed the most significant rise in oxytocin. That might not be a total shock. We all know that warm feeling from a loving look with our pet. But the revolutionary finding was what happened in the dogs. The dogs who engaged in this mutual gaze also had a significant spike in their own oxytocin levels. This revealed an oxytocin-mediated positive feedback loop between two different species. It works like this. Your dog looks at you, your brain releases oxytocin, and you feel love. That encourages you to pet or praise the dog. Your affection then causes the dog's brain to release oxytocin, which makes the dog want to gaze at you more, starting the cycle all over again. It is a self-reinforcing loop of affection, biologically cementing the bond with every shared glance. This discovery was monumental, but it raised a crucial question. Was this unique to dogs? To find out, the researchers repeated the experiment with wolves hand-reared by humans. This is where the story connects back to domestication. The wolves didn't engage in the same kind of prolonged, mutual gaze with their human caretakers. And critically, when eye contact did occur, neither the humans nor the wolves showed a significant, corresponding increase in oxytocin. The feedback loop just wasn't there. This was a key piece of the puzzle. It strongly suggested that the ability to tap into this human bonding pathway wasn't an innate wolf trait. It was an adaptation that arose during domestication. The survival of the friendliest process hadn't just selected for less fearful wolves. Over millennia, it had unconsciously selected for individuals who were better at reading human social cues, individuals who learned that eye contact, often a threat in the animal kingdom, was a way to solicit care from these strange, two-legged apes. Dogs, through tens of thousands of years of co-evolution, developed a communication skill that their own ancestors lack. They learned to speak our most fundamental, non-verbal language, the language of the eyes. This skill allowed them to tap directly into our ancient neurological wiring for attachment. The oxytocin feedback loop explains why the bond with a dog feels so profound. The system that dogs tap into is fundamentally the same one that ensures the survival of our own species, the parent-infant bond. When a mother gazes at her baby, both experience a surge in oxytocin, creating the powerful bond essential for an infant's survival. When your dog looks at you, it's activating overlapping pathways in your brain. While neuroimaging shows the brain's response isn't identical, the gaze of a canine companion triggers a similar chemical and emotional response to that of a human baby. In a very real sense, dogs have tapped into our caregiving circuitry. This explains so much about our relationship. It's why we often use baby talk with our dogs. It's why we feel a deep parental sense of responsibility for them. And it's why the grief from losing a dog can be so overwhelming. We're experiencing the disruption of a bond that our brain processes with similar chemistry to that of a family member. And this isn't a one-way street. For dogs, interacting with us provides security and comfort, reducing stress hormones and releasing pleasure-associated chemicals like dopamine. We aren't just their owners, we are their primary source of social and emotional security. We have become their pack. And so we arrive back in the present day. The legacy of this journey is all around us. It's in the therapy dog calmly sitting with a veteran, the guide dog navigating a busy street, and the family pet patiently enduring a toddler's clumsy affection. This bond, forged in prehistoric times and cemented by shared biochemistry, has become an integral part of human society. The dog was the first animal we domesticated, and the only large carnivore we brought so fully into our lives. This unique success speaks to the incredible compatibility between our two species. Over time, we didn't just change them. They may have changed us too. Some researchers even hypothesize that relying on dogs for hunting and protection could have influenced our own evolutionary path. Today, that relationship continues to evolve. We've selectively bred dogs for hundreds of different roles, which has in turn altered the physical structure of their brains. They've moved from the backyard into our homes and families. Our understanding of their emotional lives has deepened, and so has our sense of responsibility toward them. This ancient alliance has resulted in a creature that can read human social cues, like following a pointing finger, with a sophistication that can surpass even our closest primate relatives in certain tasks. The story of the dog is about evolution, genetics, and neuroscience. But more than that, it's a story about friendship. It's a reminder that connection can be found in the most unlikely of places, and that over time, even fierce competitors can become the truest of companions. If you enjoyed this journey into our shared past, consider subscribing for more stories about the science and history that shape our world. The next time you find yourself lost in your dog's gaze, take a moment to appreciate the incredible journey that made that simple act possible. That look isn't just a look. It is the culmination of tens of thousands of years of shared history. It's a biological conversation, a silent firing of hormones that connects you directly to your ancestors and to the first wolf brave, enough to seek out a friend instead of a foe. The love you feel for your dog isn't just in your head, it's in your biology, a trait shaped by millennia of co-evolution. They didn't just join human society, they tapped into our capacity to love and expanded it across the species barrier. And that might be the greatest gift man's best friend has ever given us.